There are the carts then, lined up on the grid, ready for the race. I wonder if they've left a gap on the grid where we just heard over the radio that Oliver Myers is not going to be there 21st on the grid, where they've filled that gap and pushed everybody forward. They have, so they haven't left a gap. They just shifted everybody else at one. There'll be 33 then on the grid. Oliver Myers having to sit this one out, unfortunately, after being underweight in the previous race. There you can see on screen, they're all ready to go. To the left of the picture at the front, Harry Webb back into the championship with a bang. He is on pole position, having taken the victories in all of the heats. He won all 4 of them yesterday, and he won the pre-final. He's on pole here. Only one more job left to do, but it's going to be the toughest job of all to win this race. It's a 19-lapper. It's going to be physical. It's going to be hot. It's going to be stressful out there to a certain extent, but that is what these guys do. This is what they live for, and Harry will be soaking it all up. So Harry Webb on pole position from Guan Yu Zhou, who's second in the championship. Joseph Riley, the points leader, just in third. Piers Lehane, fourth on the grid. Fifth on the grid, Brett Ward. Sixth is Ed Brand. Then on row 4, we've got Lars Lambrel, who could be one to watch here. He's very quick this weekend. Xavier Pozzoli is next up. On row 5, we've got Josh White and Nicola Pico. On row 6, Luke Varley and Tom Grice. Row 7, Clement de Mayo and Victor Oberg. And row 8, Martin Mortensen and Glenn Van Paris. Row number 9, we've got Luca Spartasuk and Ed Tansley. Row 10, Vincent Fraze and Luke Knott, who's getting loads of support from back home on social media. And on row 11, Oliver Myers and Iari Pispai. It would have been, but Ollie is out, so up to 21st moves Iari Pispanin. Up to 22nd on the grid moves Konstantin Scholl. 23rd on the grid now becomes Charlie Turner, so it's good news for him because he's on the inside instead of the outside line. Glenn Rupp is 24th. Up to 25th on the grid goes Petra Betzel. Up to 26th shuffles Sam Smelt. Up to 27th shuffles Suji Yoto. Up to 28th Alessandro Trombelli, who won the second chance heat this morning. 29th will be Ben Bailly. 30th will be Dries Van Tour. 31st will be Philip Volstead. 32nd on the grid Aver Talvar. And 33rd on the grid will be Yannick de Brabanda, who was not really replicated the form that he showed in Genk. He's 8th in the championship, but right at the back of the field here. So they're about to go up to turn 10. The field will now start to bunch up, and we're almost ready for this 19-lap race to get underway. To talk you through the opening lap, here is Matt Suckling.
So then what a sight these carts make as they barrel their way very slowly down towards the penultimate corner. They'll again get themselves in the best formation possible for the start of this one. Hopefully you'll get a nice clean start, run down towards turn number 1. A lot of these very experienced senior racers, so they've done this many times before. But here we go then. The final of the day here at the Largy Circuit is about to get underway. Lights out and away they go. A good start being made from the pole man Harry Webb. Also a good start from Piers Lehane. He's going to slot into 5th place in the end there actually, so he drops back as everyone else barrels their way through. A man who makes a good start as well. Up into 3rd place goes Ed Brand, so well done to get to the inside line there, Ed. He finds himself behind the top 2 at the minute. The one that's dropped down there possibly is going to be the man on the outside of the front row, Guan Yu Zhou, so he's going to find himself down the order. It's Harry Webb and Joseph Riley up front in 1st and 2nd places, turning their way through turn 7 for the first time. A lot of action further back as well as everyone tries to make up some places. We've got some quick guys again coming from the back in this final. Up to 4th place there possibly has gone Brett Ward, because I think Piers Lehane on the outside line has dropped further back, so Piers Lehane is up there, and I think he's just gone for 3rd place as well, so we'll wait and see if that is correct. Well, there is a blue one. It's either Brett Ward or Piers Lehane or someone different, I think it is going to be. So completing lap number 1, it's into 3rd place, goes 3:19. Yeah, so what a start from him. Row number 4 he was. It's Webb that leaves Riley. Pozzoli into 3rd. 4th place then is going to be that of Guan Yu Zhou. 5th place for the card of now Brett Ward. He's got past Ed Brand at turn number 2.
Yeah, and just behind them then you got the 223 cart of Tom Grice, who's made a good start from 12th up to 7th position. Yeah, Guan Yu Zhou boxed from the outside of row 1, dropped to 5th initially. He got a place back midway around the first lap of the race, but yeah, he's got to fight back now to get himself back into the podium positions. Joseph Riley in 2nd place, then behind Harry Webb. At the moment, outscoring his closest points rival in the championship, and you might think it's early to talk about championship points, but of course after today we'll be halfway into the season. Somebody's had a spin there from around about 12th or 13th position going out of turn number 9, so somebody plummeting right down the order. Harry Webb leads the way from Joseph Riley by around about half a second. Xavier Pozzoli with this fantastic start in third place, but Guan Yu Zhu is starting to reel him in now. Brett Ward's going with Guan Yu Zhu, and then Ed Brand just fallen about a cart length behind them, still running in sixth place, with Tom Grice then running in seventh position. Will there be a move here? Not yet. Might be a move into the next corner, because that's where you can get up the inside under braking. Guan Yu Zhu has pulled off some moves there already this weekend, but no chance for him to do that just yet. So through he goes and into the hairpin section, and there makes his move. Pozzoli is forced out wide. Zhu goes through. Brett Ward follows him through as well. And I think quite possibly Ed Brand will gain a place also. So Xavier Pozzoli then loses 2 or 3 places at least and falls to the back of that group. And therefore the new order is Harry Webb leads. Joseph Riley is second. Guan Yu Zhu is in third place. In fourth position, we've got Brett Ward. In fifth place, Ed Brand. And yes, Xavier Pozzoli fell to sixth. In seventh place now, trying to close in on them, and doing so very successfully, is Lars Lamberel. So Lars Lamberel on the back of the train now.
Yep, and as we saw from Pozzoli, one mistake or one wide move, it means you're going to be pushed down a few places there. So he's down to sixth now in the order. Leaders turn their way through turn number 7, and a move there down the inside again. There goes Lars Lamberel. So you're right, he bumps and paws with Pozzoli over the curve, gets back onto the track. He goes ahead, so does the man behind as well, as they work their way through at turn number 9, and it's all changed towards the mid-pack of the top 10 at the minute, but it's still the man up front that leads the way. Harry Webb comes into the final corner. Joseph Riley still has that gap at 0.7 of a second. Third place then is Guan Yu Zhu. Now on it, here comes Brett Ward for fourth place. Going to go and try down the inside of Ed Brand. Yes, he does. So Brett Ward finds himself now up into that fourth spot. So Ed Brand makes up one, then he seems to lose one as well. So it's not going too well for Ed at the minute. Then we see Lars Lamberel up into that sixth place. These three all tied together. They head onto the back straight now for the fourth time. 15 laps to go. Top 3 starting to pull away. So Strawberry Racing have the podium covered at the minute. Fourth place is Brett Ward. There goes down the inside Lars Lamberel. So another place taken from that man. He's not hanging about here. He wants to get the job done quickly. He wants to catch up with the top 3, and he's going exactly the right way about it. So he's now behind Brett Ward, who's in 4th. Lamberel is 5th. 6th place for Ed Brand, and 7th place is going to be Pozzoli. So from 3rd to 7th in the space of just the one lap.
Lars Lamberel trying to make it a 1, 2, 3, 4 for Strawberry Racing, the winner of this event last year, having a cracking race. So Lamberel makes his way up into 5th position now. Brett Ward 4th, both of them getting past Ed Brand, as Matt described there. Through goes the leader, Harry Webb, into turn 5. Joseph Riley 2nd, 3rd place still for Guan Yu Zhu. The gap staying about the same for the time being. Brett Ward and Lars Lamberel 4th and 5th. Ed Brand is 6th. Xavier Pozzoli up to 7th. Piers Lehane back up to 8th now after trouble at the start of the race. Luke Varley up to 9th. Clement De Meo up into 10th place. The one that slipped out of the top 10 on that lap was Tom Grice. So there you can see. I wonder if that gap now is starting to come down from 2nd to 3rd. Guan Yu Zhu in one of the heats yesterday late in the afternoon where he came up against Joseph Riley was quicker, and there's bumping and boring up at the hairpin there, and 2 carts going off onto the grass from in and around 6th, 7th position. So who's not going to come through over the start finish line? It's Brett Ward and Lars Lamberel, I think, who came together. They've dropped right down the order. So it's Brett Ward and Lars Lamberel coming together up at the hairpin, and it now means that Ed Brand's back to 4th, Xavier Pozzoli's back to 5th, Piers Lehane is into the top 6, Luke Varley and Clement De Meo move up to 7th and 8th.
Yep, and both of those, Lars Lamberel and Brett Ward, are now outside the top 10, so they're going to have to work very hard, very quickly to get themselves back with this battle, but whether it's possible or not, I'm not too sure. We'll have to wait and see. Meantime, now it means into 4th place has gone Ed Brand, so he comes through there. On his tail is Javier Pozzoli, but has that changed once again? It may have done. Piers Lehane is trying to get his way through, so all of those three together. We've got Luke Varley in the mix as well now, so that man is going very well for the time being. Those 4 cars turn their way into the final corner now, and the order this time is going to change because Piers Lehane is going to look down the inside line. Can he get a move on Pozzoli? Yes, he can at turn number 1. No hanging about whatsoever from Piers Lehane now after that poor start down at turn number 1 at the start of this race. He now needs to work very hard to get somewhere in this order to get some more solid points. So onto the back straight he goes. It's now Piers Lehane up ahead of Pozzoli, as we know. Can he now set his sights and his attentions to try and get past the man up ahead of him, which is going to be Ed Brand? We'll wait and see. Goes through turn 7, runs slightly wide there on the exit, but it's not going to hurt him out too much, and by doing so he's already starting to catch the 2 ahead in this one, but Pozzoli's going to try and go with him as they now try and negotiate turn at number 10.
Pierce already matching his best finish from last year in a final where he had a 6th and 7th for his best 2 results. He's in the top 6. He's going well here. He's bettered it, in fact, hasn't he? Because he's in 5th place now after that move on Pozzoli. Carrying a 3-second penalty is Tom Grice. So while he's actually in the top 10 on the track, he's having a 3-second time penalty added to his time. And the reason for that is that he was out of position for the start of the race, out of the corridor. So Tom Grice there being pushed back with this penalty that he's having to take. Harry Webb 1.2 seconds clear now of Joseph Riley. Guan Yu Zhou is a further 1.5 seconds back in 3rd place. Ed Brand 4th. Piers Lehane 5th. So there we go, 1st, 2nd and 3rd. There's Ed Brand going through the hairpin in that 4th place. In 5th position, it's Piers Lehane. And Xavier Pozzoli just behind him, having lost the place on the previous lap. Luke Varley is on the fringes of the top 6 as well, running not too far behind them. Over the line they go. There's still 10 laps to go in the race. And Piers Lehane 5th, Xavier Pozzoli 6th, Luke Varley coming through next up as well. What about Brett Ward? Has he started to work his way back up the order? And after that moment, has Lars Lambrel? Well, not a little bit. They're 11th and 12th, but they're still outside of the top 10. And Piers Lehane setting a good lap last time around with a 49.8. Is every bit as quick as the top 3. So there's no reason why he can't get at least one more place in this race.
No, certainly not. Don't be confused, by the way, by Tom Grice. He's on the track in 5th place, but, of course, with that penalty, he's dropped down to 9th place. So he sits behind Ed Brand, and more contact up front for 2nd and 3rd. Guan Yu Zhou and Joseph Riley have come together somehow. So Harry Webb comes through with a massive lead now. Ed Brand's going to be up into 2nd place. So what happened there between the two teammates, I'm not too sure, but they rejoin the track somewhere in the order. Joseph Riley goes through and is classified in 8th place. Guan Yu Zhou is yet to come through.
Yeah, it's going very slowly coming out of the hairpin. Well, Guan was behind Joseph Riley. He'd been slowly closing in on him. He wasn't that close at the start of the lap, but he walks away from the cart now. So Guan Yu Zhou has another disappointing end to a race here in Italy. Last time it was on the final lap when he was leading the race and his teammate hit him, and Guan ended up finishing on the podium still, but not with a win. And this time it's another coming together with another teammate by the looks of things. So Joseph Riley fell right down the order, but at least he's still going. He's in 8th place. Guan Yu Zhou, though, out. So that'll extend Joseph Riley's points advantage over his teammates. Harry Webb goes through, as you say, with a huge lead now. He already had a pretty big lead anyway. And Piers Lehane, of course, is up to 2nd place now. Maybe that elusive podium might just be coming his way. There's still 8 laps to go, though. Still a long way to go. Ahead of him on the track, as you say, is Tom Grice, but Tom's carrying this 3-second penalty for being out of position at the start. So actually, he's running in 8th place. I don't know if Piers will know that, though. Piers might think he's in 3rd place. He's actually in 2nd. But so that might be, I wonder if that'll be an issue later in the race if they all try to get past Tom and they don't necessarily have to do it. So Piers Lehane is 3rd on the road, but he's 2nd in the race. Xavier Pozzoli's in the podium paying position as well. Ed Brand 4th, Luke Varley 5th, Clement de Mayo 6th, Victor Oberg is 7th. Tom Grice is 2nd on the track, but with a penalty, as you say, he's out of the top 6 in 8th position.
Yeah, but the man who sits at the back of this train now, Clement de Mayo's done well. 13th on the grid, inside the top 6 at the minute. He just sits at the back there. We'll see what he can kind of do with these 5 cars in front of him. Tom Grice is still at the head of it there, but not in 2nd place at the minute. Piers Lehane then trails him onto the back straight once again, and we'll see if there's going to be a move this time at the end of the straight, down through turn number 6 they head. Well, not at the minute. Someone surely is going to jink out and try and get a move down the inside line. Oh no, they're keeping it very nice and clean. They're going to wait for a little while. They're not going to try anything too stupid just yet. It's interesting to see Joseph Riley, a little bit of a marking on the left-hand side of the cart, so maybe Guan went for a move where it wasn't quite possible or the door was shut, but whatever happened, it has changed. There goes a change for a move as well, lower down the order. I think that was coming through Luke Varley on Ed Brand, so Luke moves up 1 place now and gets himself onto the back of the man next up in the line, which will be Pozzoli. So let's see what they can do. Here comes Clement de Mayo as well for a move down the inside line. We'll see what he can do as they turn through the right-hander. It hasn't quite worked there, so he still sits in the train by the looks of it at the back of that. In fact, no, Ed Brand's dropped to the back. It's Clement de Mayo who's moved up, so Ed Brand falls to the back and it's Luke Varley in the middle of them.
Of course, this is all good news for Ed Brand. It wasn't that many points behind those 2 Strawberry drivers in the championship, and Ed's ahead of both of them now with, where is he, dropping further and further down the order, Joseph Riley. I think he's carrying a wounded cart because he was 8th after the initial hit. He dropped to 13th the lap after that, he's dropped to 16th place now. So Joseph Riley has got a sick cart there, carrying some damage, no doubt, after that contact with Guan Yu Zhu. So it might well be that there'll be enough points in the bag here for the man in 4th place, Ed Brand, to move up into the championship lead. He's been a runner-up in the championship here and in the C1. He's looking to win a title for the first time, though, in Europe, and Ed Brand having a solid day here. So he's in 4th place, but to add to the podium finish that he got in the first round, I think that will give him enough points to move into the championship lead relatively comfortably. So interesting stuff here in terms of the points. Harry Webb leads the race itself, though, by a whopping 6.8 seconds. Piers Lehane second, third is Xavier Pozzoli. Tom Grice has just got to keep going, of course, and try and get as far away from them as he can, because he's carrying this 3-second penalty. He's been demoted to 8th when you add that to his time, even though he runs second in the race. So Harry Webb marches on his merry way, probably wondering what's happened to everybody else. And then the rest of the field make their way through now, with Lehane still second, Pozzoli third, Clement de Mayo and Luke Varley 4th and 5th, and Ed Brand having dropped back to 6th position now.
Yeah, we thought Tommy Pryning in the junior race had a massive lead. This one's going to be even bigger, so this could be the biggest winning margin of the weekend. Currently stands at 6.9 seconds between first and second. Piers Lehane is second in the time, still sits behind Tom Grice for the time being. Both of those now starting to pull away gradually, so they're starting to leave behind Javier Pozzoli, so he's going to have to be looking behind him now, left and right over the shoulder, to see what the likes of Clement de Mayo, Luke Varley and Ed Brand can all do. They turn away now through the left-hander at turn number 10, and then already through the final few corners comes Harry Webb, and then we have to wait quite a while before everyone else joins the action. 3 laps to go for our race leader as he goes across the line, and once again towards the end of this one it starts to settle down, so all the moves being done towards the beginning of the race. Now it's the cooling off period, and I'm sure before the time we get to the last lap of the race there's going to be more moves being made, potentially from Clement de Mayo, because now he's got in front of him Javier Pozzolo, and he's started to be caught by more and more people behind him.
Well, Strawberry Racing have got the race lead at the moment with Harry Webb, but I bet they are absolutely distraught that they're not going to get a 1, 2, 3 here, having utterly dominated the weekend. It just goes to show, doesn't it, that this is, at the end of it all, the race that counts, really. Nothing else matters. Getting here is important, and performing well along the way, but it's this race that really matters, and it's not gone their way, except for, of course, Harry Webb, who has gone very well. Of course, they had the earlier disappointment of Lance Lambrelli, who had to charge at the order, then he went off the road as well, so he fell down the order. So frustrating final for the team. Piers Lehane in second place, continuing to be in second. He's a clean second as well now, because he's quite a few lengths clear of Xavier Pozzoli, who's got Clement de Mayo breathing down his neck. Is Clement going to get on the podium here? He's getting quicker and quicker in this race as it wears on. Luke Varley 5th, Ed Brand in 6th. We've got a lap and a half to go, and there's still a question mark over who's going to be on the podium here. A move there, a look at the inside on from Clement de Mayo on Pozzoli. I'm not sure he quite got through there. There's almost a little bit of contact between them as well. It might slow Clement up as well, as he lost a place as a result of that. 1 or 2 running wide as well. Ed Brand trying to get in the mix. Victor Oberg not too far away either. They're having a pretty good final here after a quiet, subdued Saturday. The Swede is getting in the mix, so the final lap board has been held out to Harry Webb. Through comes the leader. In second place it's Piers Lehane. In third it's still Xavier Pozzoli, but with Clement de Mayo right with him in 4th place and breathing down his neck. He had a big go at turn 6 on the previous lap. He's got 1 more lap to try it here. Ed Brand is moving up as well. He's in 5th position. Tom Grice is shown as 6th now, so he's got the gap out a little bit, and he's up to 6th position. We've still got this huge scrap going on though for 3rd place with half a lap to go. Matt, who's it going to be?
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that fight for 3rd place. A possible challenge on track for 2nd as well from the man there at the minute, Piers Lehane, but it's not going to work for him, because through the final corner, a dominant weekend for Harry Webb. He wins the seniors. He chucks his hands in the air. He's going to win by a massive margin. 2nd on the track will be Tom Grice, but in the results, it will be Piers Lehane. And for 3rd place, it's going to be Clement de Mayo. He gets the job done. It's Javier Pozzoli who drops right down towards the end there. So a slight disappointment for that man. So the confirmed results inside the top 3. Harry Webb was your race victor by 8.4 seconds. That is definitely the biggest margin of the weekend. In the final results, with that 5 seconds applied to Tom Grice, it's Piers Lehane who picks up second place. So Piers did well there to bring himself through the order once again, because he had a very, very slow start, drops down the order through the middle of that race, but then gets himself back into second after a very well-deserved drive there. Third place then goes away of Clement de Mayo. So Clement de Mayo on that last lap there managed to find his way past Javier Pozzoli, and Javier, in fact, I don't think will even be a finisher after contact on that last lap. Not too sure where it happened. There is a car on track somewhere as the recovery vehicle heads out to try and pick them up, but there's your top 3 confirmed. Fourth place going away of Ed Brand, so that should, as Chris mentioned, give him the championship lead heading away from round 2 here at Largy. Brett Ward gets into 5th place. Would have hoped for a little bit better after good in qualifying on Friday. A good set of heats as well, but to 5th place, top 5, pretty solid for Brett Ward and the Dan Holland Racing team. 6th place goes away of Luke Varley in the end for the KMS Birrell Motorsport team. 7th place, Javier Pozzoli, so he did finish, in fact, down there a few more places off the podium. 8th place then for Tom Grice. 9th place for Victor Oberg. 10th place for Sam Smelt. Outside your top 10, Glenn Rupp was there for the RS competition team. Pro Train's Charlie Turner in 12th place. So Charlie did very well. Spoke to him on the grid. 24th he started. He made it through the second chance heats as well this morning, and he manages to get into 12th place. So a sterling run there from Charlie Turner. Alvatara as well did well from the back. 33rd up to 13th. 20 places gained for him. Benjamin Bai 14th. Glenn Van Parijs in 15th. Alari Pispinen, Martin Mortensen and Petri Bezel in 18th place. Lower down the order as well, we can see just squeezing inside the top 20, Vincent Fraze, Yannick de Brabander, Joseph Riley there with that contact with his teammate. It's not going to be a happy atmosphere down there later on, is it? But Joseph Riley with an ailing car to come home in 21st place. Philip Volstead, Josh White, Suji Yutu and Luke Knott in 25th place. Lars Lambrell was a non-finisher with a lap down. Konstantin Scholl next up as a non-finisher, along with Lucas Bartosuk, Guan Yuzu, Alessandro Trombelli, the local man, Ed Tansley, and also that of Nicholas Pico with 2 non-starters, Ollie Myers and Dries van Thor. So that wraps up the racing on track here. What a final from the seniors once again, but a weekend very much dominated, and a delighted Harry Webb makes his way to a victory.